Hey everybody, if you haven't noticed by now, it's week 3 of Betsy and I being absent from this podcast. We decided to take a break for the entire month of June, but just to keep everybody entertained and to tease you guys about what you're missing out on over on Patreon, every Sunday in the month of June, we're putting out a full episode from one of our shows over on Patreon just to give everybody a taste of what you're missing out on. The other samples are from year 1. However, this episode is actually from year 2 from our show, Never Scream It 101. It's a show that was born out of what we do every single October, where we turn the regular show into Never Scream It. And because we have enjoyed ourselves so much during the month of October, we decided to create Never Scream It all year round. This is a show where Betsy and I cover a horror movie of some significance every single month to give ourselves an education in the horror genre. The episode we have selected to share with everybody is maybe one of our favorites. It is from lesson number 3, we call them lessons on that show, lesson number 3, the Texas Chain Saw Massacre from 1974, the original. And guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this one. It was maybe one of our favorite shows that we had ever recorded up to this point. If you want even more great content from us, go to patreon.com/neverseenitpod, sign up in the month of June, and you get a 40% discount on your membership. So we hope that you enjoy. Please come back next week for another sampling. Hello everybody and welcome to Never Scream It 101, lesson number 3. My name is Trent. I'm sitting here with Betsy.
Oh yeah.
Here for another lesson in horror. I am really excited about this one, Betsy, because this is yet another origin of kind of an entire subgenre of horror. We're going to be watching the original slasher movie, or at least the one that introduced modern audiences, and even to today, they're still fucking remaking movies like this, and this movie in general. We're watching the original 1974, The Texas Chain Saw Massacre. And I say it like that because chainsaw is 2 words for some reason.
Maybe it's a brand and they couldn't use like Kleenex. You can't do that.
I don't know. Maybe it was just a mistake, but IMDb says chain space saw. So that's what I'm going with.
You learn something new every day.
And Betsy, speaking of learning something new every day, haha, never scream a 101, haha. I don't really know much about this movie. I know like 2 things. One, there's a guy and he kills people with a chainsaw.
Wow. Yes.
And I know the name, or at least the moniker assigned to the guy. Do you know what that moniker is?
Yes. It's Leatherface.
It is Leatherface. Besides that, I don't really know. What do you know about the Texas Chain Saw Massacre?
I love how you're going to keep putting a pause. You're going to emphasize the space every time you say it.
Betsy, I do this for you.
Oh, thank you.
The children of the class.
Thank you.
Anyway.
Well, to answer your question, not a whole hell of a lot, because this is one of those movies made 50 plus years ago that until I started doing a little research about the movie, I couldn't have named one person in it. I have since seen one name that is definitely familiar and you will recognize, but I'm going to keep that to myself if you don't immediately list who it is.
I don't.
I'll tell you, you'll recognize them though, so we'll leave it at that.
All right.
Other than that, and again, I only found that out because I was doing a little research about why is this movie significant. I don't know what this movie is. And upon research, this is basically the origins of the modern slasher. Everything before this, if you think about horror in the sense of like serial killers and people murdering people, it's a lot more restrained. This is the birth of like really gritty realism. The way they filmed it was kind of iconic. And it sort of set the tone for movies the rest of this decade and the rest of time.
The thing I am very curious about here, because you said that this is kind of the original slasher, or at least it created the modern slasher genre is what is unique about this in relation to other movies that maybe came prior to this, in that is the main bad guy here, the slasher, is he just fucking nuts? Is he crazed?
Okay, well, let me tell you what I kind of found in my research as to why is this movie significant? Because this is the question I want to ask at the beginning of every episode. Why did we pick this one? Why is this movie important for us to see? So here's what I found about the Texas Chain Saw Massacre. It basically kicked off the slasher subgenre with its focus on a masked, often unstoppable killer stalking and murdering young people. And it didn't really exist before this, and it never existed the same way again. So the things it really introduced are a hulking masked killer, power tools used as murder weapons, gruesome violence, and a sense of helplessness, because they really did it in a gritty, realistic way that they were allowed to do in the 1970s that people weren't really allowed to do during the age of like the Hays Code. Like violence was very, very touchy. You could not do very much on screen.
Yeah.
And we had a conversation about this just yesterday about the early years of the rating system. It started in 1968, where we got rid of the Hays Code and now people have like G and PG and those things. And we were only in 1974, 6 years into that. So people were really experimental in the 70s to see what they could get away with.
Yeah, they're kind of dipping their toe into the water as to, okay, can I just go really fucking nuts here and put whatever I want on screen? And because of this, you also had the advent of a lot of different, other jobs that you could have in the film industry. You would have more jobs for like prop masters, creating all of this gore and gook that you put on screen. You have the Foley artists creating sounds that never existed before.
We need to figure out a way to make it sound like someone is being killed with a chainsaw.
Without actually killing somebody with a chainsaw.
Who would have that job?
Yeah.
No one thought about that before this movie.
Exactly. So I think because of that, because the creative juices were flowing, no pun intended there, but because filmmakers were finally able to do what they wanted, not necessarily what's good, but what they wanted to do, this is really fun. And maybe that's why this genre really caught on and is still popular to this day. So with that, I think I'm going to cut you off, Betsy. We'll save the rest of the facts and figures for after we watch the Texas Chain Saw Massacre from 1974. We'll be right back.
Come on, Franklin. It's going to be a fun trip. If I have any more fun today, I don't think I'm going to be able to take it.
And that was the Texas Chain Saw Massacre class. So everybody take your homework and come back tomorrow. Sleep well. Try not to have any really bad dreams after that. But Betsy, what did you think about that?
I get why people like this movie. I get it. And it's also very, very apparent all of the other movies inspired by this movie. Like, we've not spent a lot of time watching horror, but the stuff that we have watched, I see the influence of Texas Chain Saw Massacre in them.
Even if it is a minute detail that you would think watching this movie for the first time, if you didn't know some of the other things that we've already seen, you would think, okay, that's just an innocuous thing. But no, other filmmakers have studied this movie frame by frame by frame to pick out all sorts of little things and put them in their own movie.
Trent, Quentin Tarantino came out and said, this is a perfect movie. He said this is one of the few movies he considers perfect.
Wow.
Quentin Tarantino fucking loves the Texas Chain Saw Massacre. And I would be really interested to watch the one of his movies that we haven't seen, which is basically this. It's a slasher kind of guy stalking a bunch of women kind of a movie.
I didn't even know that.
I think that's what it is. The I can't even remember the name of it right now.
Death Proof.
Death Proof.
Yeah.
Is that what that is? I think so.
That's his, yeah.
But yeah, I want to say there's something there about the guy is like pursuing these women and killing them. I'm not 100% because we haven't watched it.
No.
But if you look at the rest of his movies, you're not seeing this influence. But you feel like it's got to come out somewhere because Tarantino loves this shit.
It's possible. I would have to go back and watch it again with the Tarantino oeuvre in my mind. But sitting here right now, I can kind of envision some shots maybe, or some angles of some shots maybe, of people's faces when they are like in peril, or even, I would say one of the best shots in the movie is when the boyfriend goes in the house for the first time and the girlfriend is sitting on the swing outside, and the camera, as she gets up to go to the house after he doesn't come back outside, the camera follows her off to the side.
And very low,
looking up at her butt, which, hey, that's not intentional here. It's just the shot of the house and her and the impending whatever it is that she is going to encounter in here.
It's propelling her forward in a negatively feeling way.
Yeah, and I don't know if there is like some extra zoom out as we're getting close to the house or zoom in. I don't actually know, but watching it for the first time, that looks incredible.
There's definitely some ominous things going on the way the camera is placed in this movie.
Like the low angles at the final girl, the low angles at her face when she's in the house, again, kind of reminds me of some other Tarantino stuff. So, I mean, what you're saying makes sense.
And as far as like other things that I thought of, I was thinking of all kinds of movies and TV shows and reference points that I feel like drew inspiration from this movie.
100%.
The first one that I thought of was Cabin in the Woods, when they're driving up to their little cabin and they stop at that random gas station and it's like really creepy and weird. Same thing happens in this movie. And then for that matter, The Evil Dead, because same thing, group of friends going out into the woods and bad things happen. Another one I thought of, and it's just this tiny little glimmer of a moment, when she is running and being chased by Leatherface, and she's in the house and leaps out the window, and he's looking down at her with his chainsaw. And I was yelling, is he going to drop it? Because that is straight out of American Psycho, where one of his victims escapes his apartment building and he looks down the stairwell as she's running away and he drops a chainsaw on her. And I do not think that that is a mistake. I believe that to be a reference to this movie, at least to some extent.
All right.
Another thing I thought of was there is an episode of The X-Files. It's infamous. It's called Home. And it's not like this where there's like serial killers, but it's a creepy family of guys living in isolation. And the whole town is just like, don't go over there. They're very strange. And some weird shit goes down in the house.
Yeah, there's some other ones here. I think you even mentioned it while we were watching it. But when the guy in the wheelchair is kind of by himself in the first house, he comes upon this kind of pile of bones and feathers, which is very reminiscent of lesson 1 of Never Scream at 101, the Blair Witch Project, where presumably people who are following the individuals in the Blair Witch Project are putting little piles of bones and blood and whatever the fuck else outside of their tent. So again, is that a reference to this movie? I have no idea, but it's certainly fucking creepy. The thing that you just referenced here, where it's people at like a dining room table and it's fucked up. This is not a movie, but this is a video game. Resident Evil 7 kind of goes back to the roots of Resident Evil from the very, very beginning, where it is more of a survival horror rather than an action game. I haven't played all the way through it, but one of the famous opening scenes of Resident Evil 7 is you tied up at a table. Surrounding the table is a family of fucking creepers, and it's very much in this same vein.
Yeah, all of this sounds extremely intentional.
Yeah.
Like some of it could be us just going, wow, that's similar. But if you were to talk to the people that made these, I feel like they would immediately tell you, I took that from this movie because this movie's so influential.
And I'm just going to go back to the first question I asked you. What did you think about the movie? You said it was great. I think this is incredible.
I think, again, I'm surprised how much I enjoyed it. I definitely felt the anxiety pretty much every second of this movie because I know what kind of movie this is, and I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop. I'm waiting for the bad stuff to start.
Yeah.
And when they pick up this creepy hitchhiker, like, that sets a tone, and then from there on out already, I'm like, everything is fucking creepy. What's gonna happen here? So you knew something was going down in that van.
And you also are setting things up here by going to this abandoned house in the first place. A couple of the members of this group have a history of it. I think the guy in the wheelchair and the final gal are cousins because I think they shared like a grandpa, so they visited this house on occasion.
It's very little exposition getting us there, but I think
I'm just
that's
kind of
it.
guessing what that is, but it makes sense to me anyway. But they go there, it's an abandoned house, it's all dilapidated as shit, and you can tell there's maybe been some stuff happening here. That's where he finds the bone pile for the first time. But not really anything happens in this house. It is off to the side.
It's next door.
It's, again, introducing for the first time, as far as I'm aware, you never leave the group. You never separate.
You never say, I'm going to go over there. I'll be right back.
I'll be right back in about an hour. I'm going to go and swim for about an hour. I'll be right back.
But yeah, the first thing I said was, don't go in the fucking house. I know what happens in these movies, but this is the first time anyone has had this creepy house that anyone's going in.
Right.
And you could argue that, again, this isn't exactly the first movie to explore this. There were some movies that had people going around killing other people. Another reference point that this movie is drawing from is Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you've got people who are dead, mummified in the house. And then apparently one of them was not dead. That was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I mean, the woman, the mother, or grandma, whatever the fuck she was, she's very dead.
Her face is gone.
Yeah.
So I think she's
The
dead.
eyes, the mouth, the everything, gone.
But I assumed the other lifeless looking body was also just a body.
This semi-corpse.
Wasn't expecting Grandpa to still be alive.
No, especially having a thirst for blood and sucking fingers.
So are they cannibals? Is that the detail that I'm not really...
Yes.
They're not explicitly saying it, but it seems like
let's
it.
break this down here because I don't think that it is very well explained here for a reason. The entirety of this movie is a cautionary tale against being a carnivore and eating meat, and is maybe subtly trying to encourage its audience to be vegetarians.
It worked on Guillermo del Toro.
Did it really?
He
Did
watched
he,
this
did
movie.
he talk about that?
He has said he watched this movie and it turned him into a vegetarian.
At least for a while anyway. I don't know if he still is.
I don't know, but that is what he has said. This movie turned him into a vegetarian.
Seriously, it's all about the meat packing industry, especially back in these days and prior to this, because when they pick up the hitchhiker, they're talking about, oh yeah, back in the day, they used to have a guy with a sledgehammer and hit the cows in the head, and sometimes it took a couple of times for the person to kill him. But then they got this bolt gun that they just bunk. You can just kill 1 million of them in a day or whatever.
No Country for Old Men, another movie we're referencing here.
Very much so. But the unspoken thing I do believe is that this family was put out of work because of the advances in technology at the slaughterhouse, because I believe Leatherface was one of the knockers. They called them knockers back then. Leatherface was a knocker. Grandpa was a knocker. And I guess Dad, the guy in the gas station, I don't know what he was.
Well, he wasn't, because he says he never had a taste for killing.
Yeah,
so
he's
I think
the cook, or he maybe he just carved the meat.
Yeah.
But it's also a very subtle, I guess, reference to the fact that if you are in this environment and see the suffering of these animals day in and day out and actually have to participate in doing it, you might get a little fucked up in the head.
I guess this is all very extrapolating on what you're seeing.
I know.
here.
I'm just saying what's coming out of my brain here. And the other thing I might even say is it's possible that the slaughterhouse just employed some mentally challenged people to do the dirty work of the slaughterhouse. And once they got the new tech coming in, You didn't need these guys anymore, so what are they going to be doing anymore?
And of course, they set it up at the beginning where they're saying this is good and this is bad. And then the people having the conversation are the animals being sent to slaughter.
Yes. Yeah.
So metaphor.
Yeah. That's honestly what I'm coming away from this as. Yeah, it's a scary movie, but back in the 70s, especially in the areas of the country where there are a lot of slaughterhouses and still are, a lot of that stuff is kind of still the same. There's not been a lot of advancement in that stuff. We have slaughterhouses around us.
But then there's also the haves and the have-nots. So these people are just like young, fun kids in their van traveling through. They don't need to worry about the problems. They're disgusted by the problems. Like when they come upon the slaughterhouse, they're like, "Oh, what is that smell?
What's
it's terrible.
That smell? Yeah,
don't pick up the hitchhiker. He's gonna be stinky."
Yeah, and you're right. I think it is another commentary about, it's people from the city who don't think about where their food comes from and the fact that there is some ugliness that goes along with your meat. And I'll be honest, I am very much a meat eater. Betsy, you grew up on a farm. Your dad still has hogs on his farm.
Yes.
So you're also very much a meat eater like I am and always have been. So I don't have any problem with it. You've been around the actual animals. You've probably eaten an animal that you've met, quote unquote.
I mean, if you put it that way, I guess so.
I mean, I'm not saying that you shook his paw or anything.
No, I was not like intimately familiar with Mr. Pig.
You didn't give him a name.
No, we very rarely were allowed to name them. We were discouraged from naming them for obvious reasons.
Yes, so
there was a separation. You have to have it when you're growing up in that environment.
Yeah, so I think that there's also maybe something in here about that. But again, I'm extrapolating a whole lot of stuff here when this movie is goddamn terrifying. The last third of it. And I think I'm mainly talking about, again, the concept of the final girl. This final chick is put through the fucking ringer.
She just screams. She screams so much.
She screams so much and so loud. And
this was the one thing where I was like, okay, can it be over now? Because we just keep screaming. What? Either kill her or let her get away. But I can't keep dealing with her screaming.
It is the utter suffering and terror that is going through her mind, Betsy. She sees her cousin, presumably cousin, get chainsawed out of nowhere from this guy who shows up out of nowhere,
darkness.
out of the darkness, lit up by this flashlight in the middle of the fucking woods.
And you're already scared because your first group of friends went off, they didn't come back. And then your boyfriend went off and then he didn't come back. So now you've already got this tone of, we can't leave without him, but you don't have the keys, so you can't leave anyway.
Yeah.
And then you march into the darkness and you're frustrated because you have to push this guy in a wheelchair and it's dark and it's cold and everything is terrible. And then a man, a nameless, faceless man,
literally faceless,
comes running out of nowhere with a chainsaw chasing you for a long time. This sequence went on a long time.
It did. And just the fact that he kept going with it and he had the fucking endurance to keep up with her ass.
And that is the thing, the precedent that is set. This guy that cannot be stopped. Nothing you do can stop this man. Michael Myers in Halloween, another movie, I'm sorry to say, listeners, we have not seen, but what I know about him, he doesn't run, he walks. And he doesn't stop walking, and he will always catch you because that is his character.
Yeah, this guy has infinite endurance. He is going to run after you no matter how fast you are, how young you are.
He will always get you.
He will always keep on going after you. He may not get you right away, but he'll keep on trying.
Or like Freddy Krueger. You can't escape him because he's in your fucking dreams. It's like
you have to sleep.
Yeah, it's taking it to the next level then. So first you've got Leatherface, who is running fast. Then you've got someone walking slowly, so you can't escape him even though he's only walking. Then you get a guy who you can't escape because you have to sleep eventually, and if you sleep, he'll get you. The way it kind of keeps upping the ante in this genre. And that's just in, the 10 years after this movie.
Yeah, I would say the inspiration came immediately. because you also got a guy like Sam Raimi starting off kind of soon after this. It's not that far after
No.
1974 that the first Evil Dead comes out.
I think it came out in 80, something
80,
like that.
81, yeah.
Or they made it in like 79, but it didn't get released
But
right
like,
away.
think about this. He was really young too. So a kid, a fucking teenager seeing this movie for the first time gets inspired. He wants to make his own movie.
Him and Wes Craven.
And Wes Craven was older.
John Carpenter.
Yeah.
All those guys. And, you know, Wes Craven, speaking of Scream, we watched Scream. And that movie is intentionally pulling from things like this because that's the joke about that movie.
Of course.
Is we know what we are. But again, you got a nameless, faceless guy in a mask chasing people for kind of no reason until you get a reason. But the difference is now when we make these movies, we have to give them a motivation. We have to make it, why are they doing this? And in this movie, it feels like there isn't really a reason. It's just a psycho who is oinking in the back room, and the idiot boyfriend goes to explore it and gets bludgeoned to death. And it happens fast. Like, he just steps into the doorway, smashes his head in, drags him in, and slams the door closed.
Yeah, and from that point on, it's fucking on.
And it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It doesn't slow down almost at all.
And, you know, you're talking about, like, what is the reason why this is happening? Number one, and I think probably the only one, is meat. These are cannibals, and they are serving this quote-unquote barbecue at this roadside stop.
I really wish they had been a little more explicit about the meat that's in the barbecue, like it was a hand or something, or a leg.
Or looked weird. Say more about it.
Yeah, something to make me immediately make that connection. And maybe that's just because, again, it's 1974, and they showed plenty in this movie, but they also showed absolutely nothing. And that's kind of one of the things about this film is how much can your brain infer and make it more horrible?
Your imagination has to take over at some point here. They can't show you everything.
Well, yeah, if you are going into a guy with a chainsaw, there would be blood everywhere. And there's no blood at all. Like when he's cutting up the first guy he got, you just see him moving while she's on a meat hook in the background watching him saw up her boyfriend. And there's no blood, and you don't even see like a resistance. He's just like gesturing, like I'm cutting up this body with a chainsaw.
I'm cutting a cake.
But because you're so invested already in this movie, your brain is like, oh my God, he's cutting him up.
Yeah, your brain takes over because you can see where his head is in relation to where the chainsaw is going to.
And you fill in the gaps.
You just fill in the gaps. You know what is going to happen here. You don't need the splatter.
No, the more disturbing stuff is like the hitchhiker when he cuts his hand open and he's just got blood everywhere. You know, that's much more disturbing than the chainsaw bit, if you can believe it.
And even him just taking the straight razor and cutting the guy in the wheelchair. Like, why did he do that?
Because he's nuts.
He's just disturbed?
Oh, and that's the thing. If you eat human flesh, it can make you go crazy.
Yeah.
That's also another episode of the X-Files. There's a cannibal cult, and they all eat this meat, and they all go crazy.
God, I'm trying to think if I've ever seen any other cannibal related thing other than that one episode stretch in The Walking Dead. But believe me when I say a cannibal subgenre of horror does exist, and we will cover that eventually on this show.
We're working our way up to it.
It's going to take some time, but we'll get to it.
I keep waiting for the episode of this where it's going to be too much for me. And I don't know that I was there for this one. I was definitely feeling it watching this movie, like the anxiety.
See, I'm not coming to these movies to be scared.
No.
I'm coming to these movies to really appreciate the film making and what are the inspirations. And this is full of it.
But that's the thing about this genre and why I have said for so long, I don't like horrors. I don't like being scared. And I have seen some horror movies in my younger years that fucking tormented me. Like I could not sleep afterwards and I still think about them and I can't sit and live in that headspace because it freaks me out too much. So watching a movie like this, I'm afraid that eventually one of them is going to be too much for me. That's where I'm at. But I also feel like in the 70s, because there are still some barriers, we haven't really gone. We're still learning to push the envelope. Where is that line?
Yeah.
And we've watched enough from the 70s that I'm like, okay, I don't think I'm going to be traumatized by this, but it was intense to watch. Like, it was giving me enough anxiety to be like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
And like, there are moments here where we are absolutely yelling at the screen. You already mentioned the meat hook and him picking her body up and putting,
sticking her on it.
Sticking her through the back with the weight of her body, keeping her on the hook. And then he puts her in a fucking freezer. This is my biggest question about this movie, bar none. There's a jump scare here when the driver guy shows up to the house. He goes into the room where the freezer is, where the other guy was and got his head chopped off, but the bodies are gone. He goes over to the freezer because there's been knocking on the freezer. He opens it up and the woman just spasms out of nowhere. I don't understand what that's about.
My assumption is she wasn't quite dead because they show it with the first kill. He gets beat over the head and then his whole body is twitching because if you have sudden trauma to your brain, all of the nerves in your body, they just start firing at once.
Yes.
So you're going to twitch.
But that's that guy.
That's that guy. Okay, fine. But my assumption is he does the same thing to her and she's just not quite dead yet. Or he literally just put her on that hook and then put her in the freezer and she's shivering and shaking and trying to beat it to get out, but she's kind of in and out of consciousness because you're in a fucking freezer.
Yes.
And it's one of those 1950s freezers that is made of solid fucking steel and you're never getting out of that. You will suffocate in there.
Speaking about your parents being farmers, they have one of these fucking freezers, or even your fucking grandma has a huge one like this.
No, my grandma has one like this that's like made of steel. It's in the basement. It's literally from the 1950s. It's still
kicking.
Fucking runs.
Still kicking.
It was a wedding gift. It is still going. I'm sure it is like so not energy efficient, but it has never stopped running in 70 plus years. It is older than my dad. And the second we have to move it out of there, it's going to be a nightmare.
You're just going to keep that there.
Yeah, whoever gets this house, congratulations. You can deal with the fucking freezer.
You got an antique, man.
No, my parents have one from the 80s that still runs too, but it's a lot like a child could open it. Like I could open it as a kid.
Yeah, they used to make things that lasted that long. Not so much anymore. Then again, our fridge is from like 2005, so that's at least something. Anyway, I want to talk about a little bit more the beginning of this movie, because there's also some references here that are picked up in other movies. First of all, the idea that this is a real thing.
Yes, they set it up.
Something that perpetuated throughout history.
They set it up as a real event.
Yeah.
And it is based on a real serial killer. There was a guy who would like carve people up and wear their skin or something really freaky like that.
Sure.
But the events of this story are bullshit. Like, this isn't real. However, I do need to mention in the intro, I said there was somebody you would recognize in this movie. But unbeknownst to me, they're not in the movie on screen. They're just heard in the movie. And it's the narrator at the beginning kind of reading that scroll text. And it is John Larroquette. John Larroquette, a full, 10 years before he made it big on Night Court?
Yeah.
Because that was on in the 80s.
I think it started in the early 80s, yeah. Because I remember watching Night Court when I was a little kid. I think it was still on even in the early 90s.
And he is the only name in this movie that I know, and you don't even see his face. According to him, he got paid a joint.
Yeah, his
payment was a joint to do the narration for this movie.
And you will forever be the narrator from Texas Chain Saw Massacre, John Larroquette. So I hope you enjoyed that joint. But yeah, the idea that this is an account of the tragedy and you have to have a survivor from the tragedy in order for the account to be heard, which also introduces the idea of the final girl, which there are fucking documentaries about the idea, the concept of there being a survivor in these horror movies.
It also lends to the idea that people seeing this movie could be under the misconception that this really happened.
Yeah, same thing with fucking Blair Witch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where there is an account of what happened on this day in 1973, And you don't have the internet or ways to research if this is bullshit.
And the difference between that movie and this movie is that, okay, there is a survivor here that could tell the tale, and this is just a reenactment. But in Blair Witch, there are no survivors. This is just found footage, which again spawns another fucking genre.
It all comes back. It all comes back to the same places.
Which, I mean, there's all of these movies. I'm sure I'm going to learn more as we keep on doing this, but it is such an incestuous thing, and that's implying that it's a bad thing. It's not. Everybody here making these movies and going to these movies are all in on the joke. They're all in on it.
And they love
it all.
They love what the person before them did, and then they double down on it.
Yes.
They keep building and building and building to make it bigger and better and freakier and weirder, because these movies are for the weirdos. And I mean that in a nice way.
You mean that in the best fucking way, because some of the people who love this shit are some of the greatest people on earth that I have met and are the smartest people. And they're not weird in any way other than they get their kicks from movies like this. And I'm so happy that they can.
Have you met the true crime girlies? Like, they're like the most beautiful, normal, stereotypical people, and they listen to that crap all the time. Yeah. My mom is kind of a true crime girly. She loves watching those like episodic 60 minutes, like Dateline or those criminal shows.
Yeah, that's been around for fucking since the 80s.
But she loves that shit. We stayed at a hotel. We went on a little girls' weekend a few months ago, and she put it on. I was like, "Do you like watching this stuff?" And she's like, "Yeah, I love it."
Well, and now those shows on TV have kind of adopted the true crime podcasting formats because, hey, they realize this format works, so let's just apply what works over here to what, I guess, to the name that already exists.
All the little seeds that get planted in this horror genre.
Yeah,
that
I used to watch Dateline, yeah.
They have expanded outside of it and trying to draw from real events. So even back in the 70s and even before then, I'm sure, they're, quote, drawing from real events because people love the idea that, wow, that could really happen. I hope that never happens to me. I got to be on guard. I got to prepare. In this situation, this is what I would do.
Right.
They all know better until they're in the situation.
Well, you know what I wouldn't do, Betsy?
Kiss me on the bone bench.
I mean, I would if I had a bone bench.
Please don't. I do not want a bone bench.
I kind of want a bone bench, but I don't want a bone bench that is in a house that is like leaking teeth. Like, where did that tooth come from?
You want an ethically sourced bone bench.
Okay,
is
yes.
what you're saying.
Grass-fed,
yep.
cage-free.
Found bones that you've put back together.
Rescued bones.
Yep.
No, what I won't do, Betsy, is travel with a bunch of my friends to a graveyard where my grandparents are buried to ask whether or not their graves were disturbed, because apparently there's people digging up corpses, desecrating them, and putting the very, let's just call it fresh body parts on display. Betsy, those fucking corpses were juicy. They're still juicy.
And that's how the movie starts.
That's how it starts.
It just gets weirder from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's like all that shit with like the flashes where they're like taking pictures of the decomposing bodies,
which
where
again,
it's like police files kind of a thing.
But that's the hitchhiker guy. He had the camera. He was the guy.
Oh, now that makes sense.
Yeah, he's the one taking pictures of the carcasses.
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought about that. Nope.
You just got that?
Nope. I figured it was like a post-mortem, people are, discovering the crime scene and the cops are taking pictures.
No,
I didn't think about that at all.
He had a job too. He's out of work because of that. Anyway, going back to what I was saying, I wouldn't do this. I would not go off to this graveyard, because if Grandpa and Grandma's corpse gets dug up, I don't care. I don't care. I don't think that fucking graveyard should really be a thing. I don't think people should be fucking put in boxes and put in the ground. Cemeteries are a fucking waste of space. There, I said it.
You're just like,
That's my soapbox in this episode.
cremate me, do what you want with the dust.
I don't fucking care. Do whatever you want with my body. Burn me up. Put me in the ocean. I don't
Okay,
care. I can't care.
What I just heard you say was bone bench. That's what I'm taking away from
There you go.
that.
Ethically sourced. Oh, boy. I got a clip for this one. All right. But Betsy, that's pretty much all I really had here, except I needed to talk about just the fact this is basically Houston. This is very, very close to the Gulf of Mexico. It's August. It's fucking hot.
There ain't no AC anywhere.
No, but there's only one person that is adequately dressed, and it's the gal who wants to go swimming. Everybody else is wearing fucking jeans and bell bottoms and jean jackets. And that one guy, the driver with the fucking curly haired fro, he's wearing long sleeves, man.
You don't walk around in August in Texas in a long sleeve paisley polyester shirt.
I mean, I kind of want that
You
shirt.
don't do. No, you're
kinda
not
want that
wearing that.
I didn't
shirt.
say I wanted to wear it. I just want it.
What the fuck are you gonna do with it if not wear
I
it?
don't know, just have it in the fucking
No,
closet.
not for you. Not for you, Trent.
I mean, I like to look at the shirt. It's ridiculous because I kind of love just the 70s aesthetic of everything in this
oh yeah,
movie.
the clothes are great.
Yeah.
Maybe not leather faces when he dresses for dinner, like he's wearing a suit jacket.
Would you also notice?
But he did a full face of makeup.
Well,
so.
he changes his face to
Yes.
meet his job of that time.
Yes, he has multiple creepy stolen faces around the house.
Yeah. Oh man.
Neat.
Oh man. But yeah,
Neat.
that's all I really had. Betsy, I know you got some stuff over there you got to read off. Because this movie is now turning 51 years old, there's a lot of stories that have come out and there's a lot of stats about it. Hit me.
Yeah, just some more things adding to why this movie has lived on the way it has, and some of the lists and things that this movie gets put on as an important film. So I'm just going to kind of give you a few of them. So this was entered into the Library of Congress last year. So on its 50th, basically, they
Cool.
said this shit's going in the Library of Congress. And they don't do that for just any movie. They do
Yeah.
that for culturally significant films.
This is an important movie. It's weird to say it, but it's true.
The Times listed it as one of the 50 most controversial movies of all time.
Okay.
It was inducted into the Horror Hall of Fame in 1990.
Should have been the first one, but okay.
Entertainment Weekly voted this the second scariest film ever made behind The Exorcist.
Disagree, but okay.
It is listed among the 1001 movies you must see before you die. In 2012, the film was named by critics in the British Film Institute's Sight and Sound magazine as one of the 250 greatest films. It was the highest grossing independent film until Halloween beat it 4 years later.
Yeah, and you get what I'm saying about these other smaller movie makers getting whatever kind of tiny budget that they can to make their vision come alive. And it's these independent filmmakers making it happen.
They're making the good shit. This movie was produced for less than $140,000. It grossed over $30 million at the domestic box office.
Jesus.
It sold over 16.5 million tickets in 1974, and it was the 12th highest grossing film of that year.
I had no idea this was that successful.
That is what I'm saying. This is a significant movie, not just for the genre, but for the year it came out. Also, here's a fun little fact. This movie is what inspired Ridley Scott to make Alien. There are people who have compared it to Texas Chain Saw Massacre in space.
Okay.
Think about it. Nameless, faceless, sightless being, cannot be stopped. You cannot escape. It just chases you around until you die.
I mean, I've only seen the first Alien movie once, so I would have to see it again to really make the connection, but I can see what you're going for there. Again, inspiration.
And then I just want to read you this paragraph because I think you'll find this interesting. So this obviously is all about the gritty realism. They did this on 16 millimeter and it feels a little bit more like a documentary because they set it up as this really happened and these people were real and it's based on a real serial killer.
Yeah.
So there's some points of reference for people to go, wow, yeah, that's crazy. And obviously the thing that makes it stand out is they're upping the ante on the violence and the violent realism. So this is just, I'm going to read this verbatim. The intense violence became a metaphor of the social, political climate at the time when the Vietnam War and Watergate dominated the nation consciousness. You could say the American public was being terrorized by the social upheaval at the time. Films like All the President's Men, Network, The Parallax View, and 3 Days of the Condor captured the paranoia of the 70s, but the Texas Chain Saw Massacre captured the terror of the decade.
Okay. That's an interesting thought.
That's another thing about this is interpreting horror as social commentary, not just as we made this scary movie because we thought this situation was scary.
Or
there's more behind it.
We want to film some blood and guts on screen and just have people scream in a theater and that's it.
You just spent the last half an hour talking about it's a commentary on meat and meatpacking industry and things like that. That is social commentary.
It is. And think about what was happening in the 70s. We keep on talking about the fact that we haven't really watched a whole lot of movies from the 70s. And filmmakers back then were given a kind of newly found freedom. We just talked about the Hays Code going away. You can pretty much do anything and put it through whatever lens, in this case, a movie camera lens, that you want. So people interpreting this movie and putting their own political thing on it, I completely understand, especially with all of the other movies coming out. And even literally we were talking, was it today, about the Rocky movie, or is it yesterday? Something like that. Very recently.
Yeah.
The first Rocky movie is set during a time and is starring a lot of people who are very much down and out. It's kind of depressing, but by the end, you're inspired. Like, this guy who came from nothing made it all the way here, and he lost. The thing we didn't know about the first Rocky movie when we saw it for the first time, go and listen to that episode, is that he fucking loses. We thought he won.
Because to him, he did win.
Right.
It's enough for him. He's still victorious at the end. And who doesn't fucking love an underdog story when this entire decade is what we're talking about? Like the Vietnam War and the president was in a scandal and had to resign. And it's just like bullshit, giant recession, oil shortage.
You can still feel inspired and hopeful even though you lose. And at the end of this movie, the woman is laughing. She's getting away. She can live.
She's laughing in a way.
Even though you're going through all of this horrible, horrible shit.
She's laughing in a way that's like a little bit insane, but also like, I'm free. I'm getting away.
I made it to the other side. And that's the future. Betsy, this movie's awesome. I really like this movie. And honestly, it makes me wonder about all the remakes. This movie's been remade like 3 or 4 times.
Sequels, spin-offs, remakes,
There's not been a sequel, like a direct sequel to my knowledge.
That's a good point. I don't really know. I know it has been remade, though, a number of times.
Yeah. I think most recently in like 2022 or something.
And I don't know how any of those were received, because not having seen this one, I would not be interested in seeing any of those. And even with or without seeing this, I would not be interested in seeing any of those. I might
be because I like to see the interpretations that other filmmakers have about the same source material, but not for any of our content. I'm just curious my own self.
We've talked so many times about the number of movies that we have watched that there are direct remakes to.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to see how they compare. Like, what are the things...
Movies that we've already covered.
Yeah, what are the things that they do directly that is the same? What are the things that are, oh, that's a new interpretation? We talked about it with The Evil Dead. There's a new version of that from a few years ago.
Yeah. And I always wonder, like, where are the winks and nods to the original? Do you actually care that you're cribbing from this beloved other movie and you're just trying to fucking cash in on it?
Yeah, what is the point of the remake?
Yeah.
Like, why are you remaking this movie?
I hate to have a cynical attitude about that portion of it, the fact that you are remaking a beloved movie, but sometimes they pull it off. Like that Zack Snyder Dawn of the Dead is not really a remake. It's loosely based on it.
It's an interpolation, if you will.
Sure.
Some of the same themes, some of the sites, like the places they visit are the same, but the people are different.
Yeah, people are different, stories different, whatever. But those are the things that I'm kind of curious about. But Anyway, Betsy, did you have anything else?
Well, as I do for these episodes, I like to find movies that are similar to the one we just covered. With the last two movies we've done on this series, they were not the first in the genre, but they popularized the genre. With this one, I found it was a little bit harder because, as we keep saying, this one basically created this genre. So it's hard to say that things really came before. But I did find a few lists saying, if you like this movie, check out this one. And the most direct comparison before this, and I mentioned it already, Psycho. So there's a lot of through line there, as well as Night of the Living Dead. So these kind of already established tropes that would become common in slasher films are present in those two movies. It's just that this one took it and ran with it in such a different way that completely changed how people made these movies.
Like a lot of the movies we've already seen before, some of the elements are not the main focus. So, like Psycho, the main focus is not the dead rotting mother in the house.
Because you don't know that.
You don't know that. But that's not the main focus here. It's not the main focus in this movie either, but it is an element. So other filmmakers take these elements and just build upon them into their own thing.
And some of the people that did that, here's some of the movies that they made. We touched on two of them. Halloween in 1978. Friday the 13th came out in 1980. Some other ones that are kind of tangentially related. The Hills Have Eyes from 1977.
I've heard of this.
And a very modern one, but kind of drawing back to this time frame, X from 2022. X and Pearl are both kind of part of that Ty West trilogy, the X trilogy. So it's those, and then the last one that just came out this summer being Maxine. But X in particular is set in the 1970s, and they're making a porno on a farm and people start killing them. So it's very clearly taking inspiration from this idea of 1970s slasher movies.
Oh, I had no idea about that trilogy being based on that. That's cool.
Well, the other two are a little bit different. There's like a prequel and a sequel, basically. But
still, I had no
X
idea.
is the first one.
Well, cool. Well, all right, class. That's going to be about it for my lesson for today. I hope you are inspired to come back next month when we cover our next movie. Betsy, what's that going to be?
We're going to be dipping into more of the psychological horror, the supernatural horror, if you will, because we're going back just a little bit farther into the 1960s, and we will be watching Rosemary's Baby.
A movie that neither of us have watched.
A common theme in this show, Trent.
Yeah.
A common theme.
And it shall be probably throughout the rest of this series.
For the bulk of these films, I think
Yeah.
they're going to be first-timers.
So with that, I'm going to say thank you for attending. Thank you for being patrons. Until our next lesson, my name is Trent.
My name is Betsy.
And this has been Never Scream It 101.
Bye.